The boys' parents, along with all the other visitors, stood in amazement as their son walked past the orca tank. Normally, the orcas would never come close to visitors, but this time, one of them kept following the little boy nonstop. When their son placed his hands on the glass, the orca decided to do something incredible. The parents of 5-year-old Kevin never expected this day to be so special. When they took Kevin to the aquarium, his father had barely paid for the tickets when Kevin darted off. "This is going to be a tough day for us," Brian told his wife, Laura, as he ran after his son. "You have to stay with us," Ryan yelled sternly at Kevin. Although Kevin heard his father's words, he seemed not to have fully understood their meaning. Within minutes, he was already yards away, and by the time his parents caught up, he was at the Orca enclosure. This day, the Orca show was scheduled for 4 p.m., a show that, thanks to Kevin, was going to be watched by millions of people around the world. Kevin had no idea then of the impact he would have that day. Approaching the first tank, Kevin started chatting with an innocent coral fish that swam past the glass. A normal thing for a curious boy, one might think. But at that moment, everyone present glimpsed what Kevin was capable of. The coral fish swam away and Kevin turned to his parents, smiling. The Orca tank was on the other side of Ocean World, and Kevin was ready for his long-awaited encounter with the beautiful beast. He had Lucinda, Jasmine, Bella, and of course, his favorite, Dalia. Kevin quickly ran after this extraordinary action, which he himself was amazed by. Everyone was curious to see what Kevin was going to do at his next deep water tank, and even his parents already had their cameras at the ready for what was about to happen. Their son had an incredible gift that was not only unique for his age, but had never been seen before, and the world was about to discover it, because Kevin had just arrived at his favorite animals, the orcas, and all the cameras were on record. At first, the orcas were still quietly doing their own thing. The 4 of them were swimming in the distance and were like little specks in a big blue tank to Kevin and all the curious onlookers. But when Kevin tapped a few times on the glass of their enclosure, one soon started moving. It also happened to be Dalia, Kevin's favorite orca and the largest of the 4. The animal swam toward the glass wall at an abnormally fast pace, and everyone present noticed that too. Right at the point where the special boy was standing, Dalia came to an abrupt stop. She turned in a full circle and faced Kevin. The orca even opened her mouth and seemed to smile. She was clearly here for Kevin, and Kevin was here for her. Kevin began moving his right hand, and then he followed that up with a circular motion made by his left hand. And as with the coral fish, Dalia responded to this instantly. To the directions Kevin gave her, she immediately moved her snout in the direction of his fingers, and even when he sent his arms the other way, the huge animal followed his movements perfectly. All the people who had the honor of witnessing this were treated to a spectacle, and the staff didn't understand anything about this either. Movies and photos were taken that dominated YouTube in no time. Orcas are one of the most difficult animals to train, and the park's trainers spent years trying to bond with these animals, just to be able to perform the most basic of maneuvers with these majestic creatures. But Kevin seemed to master it many times better in just a few minutes. One special person had noticed that talent as well, because one of the casual overhead passersby was none other than Lars Markson, the head trainer and co-owner of Ocean World. He worked with these animals for years and could really call himself an expert. But he was astonished when he saw Dalia jump out of the water like this. So he ran over to his staff members to ask for an explanation. The situation was explained, and Lars walked up to young Kevin with wide eyes. Kevin was taken outside, and then Lars asked a special question. "Little man, can I ask a big favor of you?" What Lars Markson then asked Kevin to do, he still calls to this day the best decision of his life. The 5-year-old Orca Whisperer, as staff called him then, was asked to participate in the big show that same day, the same show Kevin was so eager to see at the beginning of the day. It would be the highlight of their visit to the aquarium. But where at first Kevin still thought he was in the audience, it was now an audience of more than 500 people who would look at little Kevin. Kevin replied with a nervous, "Okay." Who would have thought that this casual day in the park would end up in something like this? Would he be able to repeat his extraordinary display from earlier that day, or would he even top himself? No one had the answer to this. Kevin wiggled his fingers in the water, and then he held his right arm high in the air. Kevin closed his eyes and then called out deafeningly loudly, "Dalia." The crowd looked at the water and saw a huge Dalia jumping meters high above the water. Lars and his fellow trainers were also in shock. Kevin moved his arms from left to right and from down to up. Kevin nodded approvingly to the attendants. No one in the audience yet knew what this would mean, so even Kevin's parents watched on nervously. Their son had been surprising them all day long, so what he would come up with for the grand finale had to be very impressive. Kevin was placed on Dalia's back by two trainers who tried to put him in a position that was stable enough for what was about to come. And then the little guy yelled, "Go Dalia, go." The 80,000-pound Dalia swam through the water with Kevin on her back and did a lap of honor for all the people present. Kevin beamed and waved half at his parents. The show was over. Only there was one more question Lars Markson really needed to ask the little fellow. Lars grabbed the microphone and held Kevin's hand as he simultaneously addressed a crowd in the stadium. He explained to the audience how special this boy was and asked Kevin if he might want to play a permanent role in Ocean World. Such talent, of course, they couldn't pass up. Kevin first asked if he could bring his parents along, and that was easily arranged. After the show, the four of them discussed and agreed on a plan. Kevin was granted permission to participate in a show once a month, which would help him become an even better Orca trainer. However, this was on the condition that it did not interfere with his schoolwork. This special day was 2 years ago. Watch on to see how Kevin is doing nowadays. At the age of 7, Kevin can truly consider himself an experienced Orca trainer. He might even be the youngest live trainer in history. He spends any spare time he has, aside from school and homework, around his favorite animals. What does Kevin hope to achieve in the future? His dream is, of course, to become a professional Orca trainer later in life. However, he understands that he must first finish school. His love for the animals at Ocean World and the promises he made to his parents and the owner of Ocean World keep Kevin motivated to work hard in life. In any case, he definitely has a dream, and combined with perseverance, that is all you need to achieve it. What do you think of this boy? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you.